It's time to change. We don't want that policy at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question on that. I'm raising a point. Okay. You mentioned something about ZANU-PF running the. I just want to clarify. Government of Zimbabwe is being run by ZANU-PF. I mean, it's a ZANU-PF government, meaning the ZANU-PF won, and that party is that party appointed the cabinet ministers and so forth. So it's obvious. But what I'm trying to say is the policy is not being run by ZANU-PF, but by the government through the ministry. I mentioned the ministry, and that ministry is not a ZANU-PF ministry, it's a government ministry. I just want to clarify on your point that you raised. And also on the question that you said, is it working? It's working for us. And we know it 9 months, comrade. You can't just expect that we introduce a policy today. So it's a process. You can't just, it's not an event, it's a process.
But 9 months is never 9 years, say. No, we have been too long on this. But so correcting you,
too long to who?
Can I respond? He says ZANU-PF government is being run by ZANU-PF, which is wrong. Robert Mugabe should not be the president of ZANU-PF. He should be the president of Zimbabwe, including MDC, including DRP, including ZDRP.
He is the president.
Everything. Yeah, but then what you are saying is exactly the problem. There should be separation of powers. This is not, government is not ZANU-PF.
Okay, yeah.
Don't be confused.
Right. I think it is evident from what he's saying that Zimbabwe has been hijacked by this mafia government of ZANU-PF. Because clearly the way they are operating is a mafia. They've implemented this policy which only they benefit. If I ask him, has he benefited from that very policy which he's here defending today? He has not. That policy has benefited Kasukwere, Chombo,
I want to
let me continue.
Because now he's mentioning names, so you must be factual, you must have facts. How Kasukwere, how Chombo benefited from that? Because now you are mentioning names, so I'm sure you got facts. So we can't mention names. We can't mention names on assumptions. We need facts.
Let me proceed. You see what happens. These policies have not benefited the ordinary Zimbabwean. That's the honest truth. And they are policies that should benefit Zimbabweans, not ZANU-PF. And I think this is where they're getting it wrong. And about mentioning names, it is not a mystery or a myth or a secret that the government ministers are corrupt. Even the Corruption Perception Index pushed Zimbabwe at 154 out of 176 countries as worst performing countries. These are some of the issues. The facts are there. The facts are there. And we should look into it. I think what you have is blind patriotism when you think you have to defend everything for the sake of defending.
I'm just saying bring facts on the table.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Let's move on to the next question. Which tax provisions would you specifically change to ensure the wealthiest Zimbabwean nationals pay a fair share of tax payments? Who's going first?
Okay.
Mr. Adrian.
As ZANU-PF government, ZANU-PF run government, they want me to say that? Okay. The income tax. So as I said earlier, how we differ from my comrades here, we're not looking at just the formal employment. We're also looking at how we can really organize the informal sector and at least collect tax from the informal sector. Tax that will make,
okay, sir, before you proceed, we are veering off the question.
Okay.
There are wealthy Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe.
Okay, talking about the words Zimbabwe.
Yes,
okay,
how would you tax them?
Okay, we focus on the pay as you earn. The more you earn, the more tax you pay. That's the policy on taxes. So we can't expect, obviously, to collect 20% tax from someone who's earning less than $200, while we get the same 20% to someone who's earning over 1,000. So it's the more you earn, the more tax that you should pay.
Right. Say.
All right. As ZRDP, our position really is a position of equality. We cannot victimize people for being more successful, per se. So or earning more. We will have a constant tax figure if we set it depending on the time at which we take over, which is 2018. If we set our tax at 10%, it will be 10% across the board.
Okay, you say?
Sorry, can I just further clarify
Right,
that?
sure.
It will be 10% of what you earn. So, in essence, you will still be paying more than the person. If I'm earning $20, I'm going to be paying less than someone who's earning $200. Yeah. But the tax percentage does not increase in income brackets.
Okay, so you believe the wealthiest person should pay the same tax as the poor person?
On percentage, but not on not on value.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Pro-capitalist is
You see, for DRP, the position is very clear as far as the wealthiest people are concerned in Zimbabwe. The first point that has to be understood is how many people are we talking about here? You know, the killing of one man does not constitute a war in any country. There are very few individuals. So the pay-as-you-earn system is good if it's done with justice in it. We have people that have acquired, stolen, if I can put it that way, lot of land that they are using productively, and they are apparently abusing workers in the name of a ruling party in some instances. And those people have amassed wealth for themselves. So we will actually review even the pay-as-you-earn structure so that we can actually justify the tax collection of the government. Because we would want the people to be equal before the law, even the tax law. Because currently this is not exactly what is presiding over. When the DRP takes office, we are going to be doing what we've termed the truth, reconciliation, and recovery. We have people who have 20, 15, 18 farms, one person, and yet some people doesn't even have a roof, and they are making good progress in that and investing elsewhere, not in our country. So we really have to review the pay-as-you-earn tax. Thank you.
Okay. Our next question, what would it take to rebuild our country to the state it was before the year 2000?
okay. What I can say first and foremost, it's unfortunate that I heard you saying that we're going to get to the question of sanctions and so forth, but I was thinking that maybe it was going to be the first one, because that's where everything is. We must look, how did we get to where we are now? Then we can now address the problem. How did we get there? It's because our economy was sabotaged. We have the Assistant Secretary of State on African Affairs, the American Assistant Secretary the British Assistant Secretary of State on African Affairs, who say that we will make the Zimbabwean economy scream. That was in 1997, before even our economy screamed. So this is the situation that we are in was crafted by some people in the West, long time before even the main opposition MDC was formed. So we must look where we're coming from. Then we can now address the problem. So the problem is we are being crippled by the sanctions, the economic sabotage. Our economy was controlled by the West, so it was easy for them to cripple us, because now they will just sabotage. I remember, I think you can agree with me, it was in 2003 when we were not getting even fuel. Every company that was supplying fuel to Zimbabwe was actually put under sanctions, like the Zijera Act, because the Zijera Act is for everyone to see, for everyone to read. It's an act that was crafted in the United States to say any company that has got links with America, or any American company, must not deal with Zimbabwe in any way. So how are we going to succeed as a country when we cannot access foreign, FDIs? How can we going to succeed as a country when the World Bank cannot even borrow us money? Because now the World Bank is saying we must clear, we must make your house being ordered with the IMF. But the IMF, the voting bloc, the majority of the voting bloc in the IMF, they got the Americans, and they are under this Zijera Act. They can't do anything to help us. So what I'm trying to say here is, for us to fix this thing, first and foremost, these evil sanctions must be removed. Number one. Number two, we need to look for other ways, because now, if we are under attack, it means there's extraordinary situation. So now we must employ extraordinary measures. So that's why you see some of the things that we're doing at the moment to revive our economy, it has never been done anywhere in the world. Or maybe except few countries like Cuba who are also under sanctions. So that's why even my comrades, they don't even understand the thing that I was talking about, the informal sector, because now they are glued to the textbook economics type of thing, where, at high school we read this, so it should be done that way. But now we're saying we must take extraordinary measures. What are those extraordinary measures? To empower our own people, to be organically connected to our own people. Like, I'm not gonna be embarrassed to mention it again. I've got my brother here. He is innovative. He can make something. He starts small. He starts small at Glenview Complex. Then, as a government, we are connected to him. We empower him. We empower him. Then he grows. That's how we're gonna fix this economy, by being connected to our people, and we grow with them.
Okay, can you just elaborate a little bit about the Look East policy and why was it brought into?
Okay, I can say historically, or like generally, the West has been like the superpowers. They've been like economically, they control the world. So because they sabotage us, we were no longer in good books because of the land reform program. Obviously, we charged their kids and kins. So obviously, we're no longer in good books. We had no choice but to look for alternatives, because you can't say, okay, I'm cornered now, I must just cry until tomorrow. You look for other ways. We're to look for friendly countries. We're to look back to the history. We got those. We started the Look East policy because during the liberation struggle, those countries were helping us. China, Russia, Yugoslavia, and all those.
Did the Look policy work? Did it work?
Yes, it's actually working, because if it wasn't because of the Look East policy, by now Zimbabwe would have been something else. And according to that Assistant Secretary of State, the people would have, because what he said in his words, Robert Mugabe, his people will attack him on the streets and the dogs will eat him alive. That's in his own words. That's what they wanted to happen. But it didn't happen, unfortunately, because of this Look East policy. So I can say it's working, but we still need to do more.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
All right, thank you. He has just said it's unfortunate people didn't attack Mugabe. But anyway, we'll proceed. I think we need to appreciate that the crisis in Zimbabwe is more political than economic. The economic decay is a result of a political problem. So first, as ZRDP, I'm not going to go much into what is wrong and what is ZANU-PF has done wrong, because the signs are there. It's evident for everyone to see. The first, we are going to address the policy inconsistency that lies within the government as we speak today. We are going to address the policy inconsistency around some of the controversial policies, like the 51-49%. And then secondly, we are going to rehabilitate infrastructure to drive the economy, because you cannot drive an economy in any direction if the infrastructure is not put in place to drive that economy, may it be water, electricity, roads, ICT. So these things need to be rehabilitated, because we're talking of a road network of 88,000 kilometers. It's not sufficient. We've got 88,000 kilometers in Zimbabwe. South Africa is, of course, the bigger nation, but it boasts of 364,000 kilometers of road network. We are talking of 300 kilometers of rail network. We are not going to be able to take goods very far. We are talking of an airline that is almost non-existent, where they've just created a job for the first Mukwasha per se as well. But anyway, that's another issue. We're not going to that. So then we need to revive this infrastructure for us to be working again as a nation, so that our exports start working. They will not work without the infrastructure put in place. Our imports will not work effectively if this infrastructure is not put in place. But then once this has been done, ZRDP will take on these 9 steps, which I'll go through quickly. And some of them I've mentioned before, but then quickly, just to get Zimbabwe working again. We're going to restore investor confidence and create an investment-friendly environment, because we need investment. We are going to reinvigorate the mining sector and advance beneficiation and value addition, whereby we've got 800 mines which are performing below capacity. If then we stop exporting raw material, but rather we start processing within our own nation. I think that is what we need to start to do, rather than running for investors' money with this 49%. We need to start beneficiation and value addition within our own borders.
Can I say something?
No, let me finish, and then you'll come back. And then we're going to restructure the government, because government expenditure is crazy as it stands right now. They're always on the planes flying with huge delegations. All that needs to stop. We need to cut the government expenditure. Advancing infrastructure and technological development. I've touched on that. We're going to ensure land tenure security, because there are a lot of people who want to invest in the land. But what happens is, even if I want to invest in the land today, there is no security that after I put in place infrastructure for farming, they're not going to come and take it away. So we need to establish land tenure security to get the agriculture sector working again. Because without that, I don't think anyone would really invest, because we have incidences where farms have been taken over after, or businesses have been repossessed and reallocated to other government ministers and the like. And then we're going to restore confidence in the financial institutions. I've touched on that. And then promote raw and value chain development. I've also touched on that earlier. So then I think these are some of the issues we are going to put in place. But beyond this, with the investors who are coming, we are going to put in place stringent corporate social responsibility plans that are going to tie investors, whether in the mining sector or whatever sector across the board there, that part of the deal is that they have to build houses. They have to build schools, hospitals, clinics, and get these things functional and create infrastructure around the area they are performing. That way we will develop the country faster, rather than it will not just be the role of the government to develop the nation, but it also lies in the private sector. We need to expand the private sector, let them get involved in social service delivery as well. So in terms of building of schools, hospitals, houses, so that it is just not a government position. So this is how we will tie down this whole issue, rather than saying we're taking over your companies.
Okay, thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this. Yes, Audrey.
Okay. He raised two issues that are of interest to me, here representing ZANU-PF. He mentioned something about the corporate social investment and the beneficiation and value addition. I'm sure that is everybody knows. It's like now a national anthem. Our President Robert Mugabe, is always talking about beneficiation and value addition. So as ZANU-PF, that's something that we are already doing. That's something we're already working on. Corporate social investment, we got the issue of community share ownership, whereby we sit with maybe, for example, a mining company, then they must at least some shares go to the community. So it's a share ownership, community share ownership program, whereby the profits that are realized, they will help in building the community. We also got a program whereby the workers who are working, they also get shares. They become part of the company. So on that, I'm sure we're already doing that as a ZANU-PF for our government. On land security, we are for 99-year leases, because land is very precious, something that we do not want to, that was one of the reasons why our forefathers or our fathers went to war. It was because of land. So now, how do we protect our land? We do that through the 99-year leases, so that at least, because if now somebody is given title deeds, it means he can do whatever he wants to do with the land. He can even sell it to a sale in Germany, and according to law, that trade stands. So we are avoiding that. That's why we are for the 99-year leases.
Thank you. Yes.
I'll just answering.
All right, just to come back, this community share ownership trust which they said is in place. Really, when we look to the core and to the reality of issues on the ground, this program has been made to benefit a few. We are not going to leave that responsibility to the government. This is a plan which the investors are going to take on, and it is their mandate to build. Not to say, give us the money first, because we're talking of a nation that is rampant corruption. These, let's say the companies remit these monies to the Community Ownership Trust, 2 billion. Is it going back to the community? No, it is not. That is the reality on the ground. That is the truth of what is happening today. So we cannot talk of something that is there but is not working. Let's talk about things that work. Let's talk about things that are going forth. I am from Manicaland, the Chiago Diamond area. It is sad when you look at the extraction that was taking place in that place and the development that is taking place. But then you hear the ministers with 50-bedroom houses. You go to Victoria Falls.
The ministers living in 50-bedroom houses.
Can I continue? You go to Victoria Falls. The shores are filled with houseboats of government officials. That is a fact. Are government ministers the communities? No, they're not the communities.
Okay, yes, sir.
Right. For DRP, Democracy Restoration Party, the blueprints of how to resuscitate Zimbabwe's economy is very clear. The first and foremost, there is a very sticking point that is always up as far as this situation is concerned: corruption. You know, in a society that hires people not on merit, but on the basis of their ethnic origin or their belief, their religious belief, what happens is you get incompetent people. Because I'm as a Zulu guy, and everyone else that has to be employed in every sector that I lead must be the Zulu. They're not being employed on merit. So what it does, holistically, it does not attract our best men and women. So we can't collect enough taxes. Because what these people do, some have called them the fat kids. They take the money that they are embezzling from the process of getting tenders or whatever it is. Then they have to stash them in overseas accounts, leaving the government's resources empty.
Okay.
So corruption is really one thing that DRP, Democracy Restoration Party, needs to stamp out. I must stress, people will be hired only on merit. What do they know? Right. We must also understand the economy that we have is agro-based economy. And being an agro-based economy, do we have enough infrastructure to support agriculture? How many agricultural schools do we have? We have Gwibi Teachers College. We have Chibero Teachers College. Agricultural College. We've got the UZ that has got a faculty of agriculture and other universities. But is it enough, given the fact that our economy is based mostly in agriculture? We need to educate our people in that sector more than, we need to prioritize that. Because we have lots of people that are qualified in, for example, political administration. But we know there is a very, an ongoing trend in Zimbabwe where people have this political apathy. They don't want to be in politics. Everyone says, it's a dirty game. So, but then, and yet you have got a degree in political administration. So rather, let's prioritize our schools to teach agriculture. We must also revisit policies like the Land Tenure Act, where people have been redistributed on the basis of primarily their color. You white, then get out. You black, you are in. But not only should you be black, you should be black and you should affiliate to a particular party, ZANU-PF. This is our problem. If we are going to solve it and get it right, DRP has the blueprints of redistributing that very land that has been distributed.
Thank you very much. We move on to the next question. We are living in the times of technology. How will you support and free and accessible internet? Andre.
Okay. First and foremost, you mentioned something about, raised a point about technology. We have the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, led by Professor Jonathan Moyo, and he has been championing, I think we all know about STEM. So it's a program that focuses on technology, science and technology. So for every nation to really develop in this modern day, we need to be educated in science and technology, because long back we used to be focused on the arts, but now we have moved we have come to a stage whereby we focus on science and technology. We as a government also, we have set up a ministry, a standalone ministry of science and technology. That alone shows how serious we are as a ruling party or as a government, because we have set up a ministry for that. So we also are trying to reach the goals, the digitalize our like the ZBC and all the broadcasters and the media houses. So it's one of our goals, so that everybody knows. In 2013, our president was the first to go around in the rural areas. It's in the rural areas, giving out computers to the schools, so that the kids from a tender age, they are now they are taught about computer science, they are taught about internet, they are taught about technology. So that's our policy as a party. That's our policy that we even using in government, and everybody knows that our president was giving out computers. It's just I have noticed that my colleagues here, like for example, when they were mentioning about the dirty water, they only think about Harare. So Zimbabwe is not Harare is not Zimbabwe. Point.
Right. But we 100% support internet. Okay. Everyone should access it, but it's been closed, so that information, if it's passed from one person to the other, then the people would know their rights more. It's like a radio. You don't dance to a song that you don't hear. Only when you hear the song through the radio, then you can dance. So now, for the people to be able to resuscitate and come up with a very vibrant society that is a working society, they must have internet, 100%. So DRP supports. Actually, we are going to be organizing with the stakeholders that provides internet and its accessories, so that everybody in the rural area, in the urban areas, will access internet, which is not what the current government is doing.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Thank you. I think to roll up this program, it has to be done in phases. Okay, currently we are sitting at 50% internet coverage and 90% mobile penetration. I think more still needs to be done to increase that internet coverage. But the first thing is we need to get rid of IPA, these acts which they've put in place to restrict access, really, to restrict access to. IPA speaks to censorship, to surveillance of these platforms. So really, these things need to be undone first, and then introduce other actors and players to cover up where the government is failing. Because we are talking of 50% coverage. What happened to the other 50%? We wanted to reach out to all areas, and then we introduced. They want to limit it to a few, right? To a few which they can monitor, they can survey, and they can restrict. The other issue is of high tariffs when talk of data and the like. So really, even if you roll out, people are not able to make use, because we are talking of a collapsed economy whereby we are going to be charging probably $1 for 50 megabytes. Who is going to be able to afford that $1 when they do not have $1 for a meal? We are talking of 72% of the population living under $1.25 a day.
Thank you for your response.
Okay.
Yes.
As you can see, my brother is so much into figures. It says something about 50%. Who brought about that 50% internet coverage? That's the ZANU-PF government, and it's still a process, number one. Number two, I don't really understand, maybe we're coming from two separate Zimbabwe's, because as far as I know, I talk even to my grandfather in rural WhatsApp, on WhatsApp, and I don't understand when you say internet is being restricted. When in the rural areas, when in the farming communities, everyone now owns a smartphone, so to speak, and everyone is on social media, and everyone can even actually Google and access information. So I don't really understand when you say that it's being restricted, when everyone in this house can even agree with me that they talk to their grandfathers and grandmothers in the rural areas.
Okay.
It's being restricted in the sense that we talk to our grandmothers and grandfathers in the rural areas, after which the government and its agents scrutinize our messages. We are not free to say what we want to say. So in that sense, it's being restricted. Really?
Okay, yes.
I think I've been answered. I think it was a failure for him to engage with the issues I raised here. Yeah. So then we are forgiven for that. But then we are talking of systematic restrictions. Yeah. And this is what they are doing. Not restriction as per his thinking, but anyway, thank you.
Okay.
I've said it's
okay.
been answered.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. There's no doubt we had an interesting debate tonight. We have a lot of questions that we still need to cover, and I think we're going to roll on more of these debates as time progresses towards the 2018 elections. I would like to thank my panelists tonight, Mr. Tafazo Mujoma of the Zimbabwe Revolutionary Democratic Party, Mr. Brian Mubumbi of the Democracy Restoration Party, and Mr. Adrian Rosani of ZANU-PF. Thank you, viewers, and thank you to my co-moderator, Samantha Pasicolo. Thank you for watching.